Hello and welcome back to the channel. It's your girl Abby and I'm back with another video. If you are someone that deals with self-doubt, difficulty moving forward, if you are finding it difficult to get through a situation that happened to you in the past, as in leaving those emotions behind and truly moving forward, this is the video for you because we are going to get into the self-doubt that comes with moving on, the overthinking and ruminating that comes with moving on, and I'm going to be giving you guys reasons why it's important to move on and why you should trust yourself in that process. These are all things that you already know, deep down inside you already know, but sometimes we need that little reminder. Sometimes we need that little depth of understanding in order to truly make those moves that are going to create lasting change. And so if that's something that you're interested in, stick around. We're going to get into it. I wanted to share a poem that I wrote because this is something that I also struggle with. I tend to be someone that ruminates and overthinks and doubts myself and questions, did I make the right decision? Am I doing the right thing? I'm constantly in my head. And this was a reminder that I wrote for myself that I also think will be useful to any of you guys watching. And so let's read this poem together. Stop torturing yourself. You made mistakes in the past, but you cannot keep playing this game of making things right by doing what feels wrong. Stop hurting yourself. What's right doesn't come from pain. It doesn't come from turning away from what you know. What's right feels that way. Don't be afraid to trust yourself. You've done it so many times before. You are going to find your way. You are literally on your way. And so stop torturing yourself. This is a poem I wrote to really just remind myself that I have to get out of my head. I have to get out of the self-doubt and the ruminating and questioning, because if you don't, there is no other way that you can actually take step forwards and maintain taking those steps forward. And so it's really about this sort of torturing that we do to ourselves. And I don't know why we do that. Like, I don't know why we feel like we have to keep torturing ourselves and keep reminding ourselves of the mistakes we made in the past. But there are some psychological explanations for that. Like, I know I've heard some people say that you will keep repeating and ruminating a situation until you've made peace with a solution. Now, obviously, there is an extent to where that becomes extremely unhealthy, where you are entering a stage of depression or a phase of low affect, your mood is down, you're unable to keep up with your daily activities. That's when it becomes problematic. But in a certain way, the ruminating and the overthinking is kind of good for you in a way, right? When it's in moderation, because that's your brain working out what didn't work out in the past. That's your brain trying to figure out how you can start to make better decisions, how you can look out for red flags or things that hurt you in the past, how to avoid those situations, those peoples, those scenarios, so that you don't have to deal with it again in the future. So for anyone dealing with self-doubt and feels like they're stuck, I want you to remember that your mind playing through that situation over and over is trying to figure out how to make the future better for you, how to avoid the things that you've already went through. So in a way, your mind and your brain is trying to articulate all the experiences you have, putting them together to create a solution. Now, I think there's certain things that can get in the way of those solutions being created. And that's when we doubt ourselves excessively. When we use this rumination, when we use this cyclic pattern of overthinking as a way to soothe ourselves, you know, it sounds sort of weird and almost like sick, kind of like, why do we want to torture ourselves? Like, why does it feel good to torture ourselves? And I think there's a certain comfort that comes in that, you know, it's like protecting yourself, but protecting yourself in a way of putting up this really, really, really high barrier that no one can infiltrate. And so you're in your cocoon and you're in your safe space, yes, but what you think as safe and nestled in your own bubble is actually blocking you from the potential of beauty that your life has to offer, all the new experiences that you could have. And so the thing about doubting yourself is that you need to remember that, one, you already went through the past. It already happened. Two, that you're able to learn, that you are going to think about the situation, you are going to take in all the information, and you're going to apply the lessons. You can trust yourself on that. You know why? Because you've done it before. There have been so many situations in the past that you have gone through and that you have come out 10 times better, 10 times wiser, 10 times happier, right? But it takes that willingness to explore in the unknown to get to that point. And so you can trust yourself. And evidence of that is that you've done it in the past. You have already done something like this. You were brave before. You made it through. And so allow yourself to do it again. You don't need to stay in this space of comfort through torturing yourself. You can have faith. You can have faith in your ability to move forward. You can have faith in the human anatomy doing what it does. Your human brain is going to do what it does, and it's going to gather information, and it's going to notify you when there are red flags. You're going to get that gut feeling when someone approaches you and they seem off, or their demeanor's off, or a situation looks familiar to one in the past. Like, your body is going to take note of that. Your intuition is going to take note of that. It's going to let you know. Your nervous system has already taken note of that. And so you don't have to be so afraid, and you don't have to let your fear debilitate you, because you can move forward and you can progress and you can learn. You have already done it in the past. Self-compassion and patience. You know, okay. Guys, I'm going to share something with you. I recently worked with one of my dream brands, BetterHelp. And this is not a sponsor or anything like that, but I wanted to share the experience that I had doing online therapy, because I was working with them and they gave me a promotional code where I got a discount on therapy. And so I said, you know what? Let me take it upon myself to just see what therapy is like, because I haven't really used it in the past. And I'm just going to tell the therapist what I'm going through, what's going on in my mind, and see what they have to say. Sometimes it's good to have an outsider's opinion. And so that's what I did. And the thing that this therapist told me, right, was that at the age of 25 is where your frontal lobe, your brain, has developed. And so she was saying, honey, you just got out of adolescence. You just became an adult. You cannot be so hard on yourself, because you are literally a baby adult. And I was like, girl, did you read my file? Because I didn't just come out of adolescence. I didn't just come out of puberty. Like, I'm grown, you know? And we both started laughing, because not everybody knows the science of that. Not everybody knows that your mid-20s is when your brain fully develops. And so if you are younger than that, know that your brain is still developing. And so you don't have to be so hard on yourself. And also, if you are above 25 and you have made some really stupid decisions in the past and done some crazy things, not to make an excuse for it and say that it was all because of your young, naive brain, but don't be so hard on yourself and have some compassion, because you are literally growing and learning. Now, I'm going to caveat that with saying, you know, there is always wisdom that can be applied no matter what age you are. And so, yes, have self-compassion with yourself, but also don't use it as a Band-Aid, because I tend to, steer away from advice like that, because I feel like it's going to halter my growth. If I'm always looking at a sort of excuse, right? So understand that there are the real realities of a situation, which is like, you're young and you're learning and you're going to figure it out. And just because you went through it in the past doesn't mean you're going to make that same mistake again. Like, have a little bit more faith in you, right? In yourself. But also don't use it as a Band-Aid. So this is, compassion is great, but I also think that in life, the hard lessons are what push you forward. And so sometimes you're going to make bad decisions and you need to have compassion for yourself. But compassion is also saying, you know what? There's no excuse for what I did. There's no excuse for what I put myself through, regardless of the age I was or regardless of, my brain development. There is really no excuse for that. I'll be compassionate, and you know what? It already happened, right? There's no point on dwelling on something that already happened, but use that to motivate you to do the total opposite in the future. Like, don't go and make the same mistakes in the vein of compassion. So there's a bit of grain of salt. Take everything I'm saying with a grain of salt. You know what I mean? Okay, the last thing I'm going to leave you guys off with is you deserve to move on with peace. Now, I know some of us like to torture ourselves. This is literally what the whole video is about. And I know a lot of us like to have self-doubt, but you need to know and you need to believe that your future is worthy of getting to. And so to get to your future, you have to get through these moments and you have to get through the self-doubt and know that you deserve peace. And know that just because you made mistakes in the past doesn't mean that you're going to make those same mistakes in the future. Like, you are not doomed to your past or to your habits or your cycles. Like, this should be your motivation that you can get through it. And getting through it is by putting your mind on tomorrow, putting your mind on forward. Okay, it already happened. Doesn't matter. Don't have to sit and think about it. It already happened. There is no point in dwelling on the past. Focus on tomorrow. Focus on the steps that you can take. Focus on the vision of who you would like to be, that overarching vision of the type of person you'd like to be, the type of work you'd like to do, the type of personality you'd like to have, the type of people you would like to have around you. Focus on the future, right? Focus on the now, what's currently around you, what you enjoy, but also focus on what's to come. Sometimes when we're looking back, it's hard to see that there's any potential for a good future, right? Especially when we have this, when we tend to look back in a negative perspective, It's hard to even take one step forward when we're constantly looking backwards. So what happened in the past already happened, okay? Can't change it. And it doesn't define you. So start to look forward and start to look upward. The power of positivity is a very, very real thing. When you start to tell yourself positive things, when you start to look at every situation in life more positively, you naturally start to walk in that direction. You naturally start to gravitate towards more positivity. And so if it's in your love life, your career life, your personal life, your friendship life, always have the default setting of things are going to get good again. Things are going to get better. Okay, the situation around me is not like, it's 50-50. I don't know. Like, it's not looking so promising, but have faith and start to look at the positive rather than looking at the negative. Okay, it's 50-50, but focus on that 50% that is positive, because naturally you'll start to gravitate towards that. It isn't this woo-woo thing of energy and bringing things in. It's literally basic human psychology. Okay. Focus on the positive and your lived experience will be better, and your future will have more than likely will have better outcomes because you're focusing on the positive and you're focusing on the potential of the beauty and the goodness that life has to offer. And so stop doubting yourself. This is the reminder for you all. Stop doubting yourself. It's enough. It's enough. It's enough. It's enough. Stop doubting yourself. You've tortured yourself enough. You've sat in your misery enough. Now it's time to move forward and look positively. It's enough. It's enough. The future has so much for you. There is no sense in looking backwards and ruminating. Okay? You've done it enough. Let's move forward. And so this is your call to action. Start to think positively and start to walk in the direction of those positive thoughts. This isn't something you have to stress into doing. Just every time you have a negative thought, couple it with a positive one. Remind yourself, train your brain to think about the glass half full, and eventually that garden of your mind will start to grow, right? You think of your life as a glass half full, and that water, that extra water that's now in your cup is going to water the garden around you. And over time, you're going to see tulips and sunflowers and all these different beautiful flowers in your garden because you're watering it. You're feeding it. You're feeding your mind positivity. And with that, a beautiful garden will grow in your mind. Your life is that garden, okay? And so that's it for today. I want to thank you guys so much for watching this video. I know I've been a little MIA. I'm trying to get back on here, okay? Please don't punish me for it, okay? If you don't already follow me on my socials, follow me on TikTok and Instagram, and also subscribe to my Substack where I release monthly, sometimes weekly articles that you can just read for enjoyment or sometimes informational. That is the end of it. I want to thank you for watching. I want to thank you for being here. And I wish you all the best on this journey of moving forward. Peace and love. And I will see you guys next time. I love you so much. Bye for now. Mwah.